Welcome to the BambuLabs exporter setup video. This is assuming that you already have a Prometheus instance running. If you do not have a Prometheus instance running, I would recommend following one of the videos in the GitLab page that will actually link to the other YouTube video that contains that data. That link can be found in the actual repo under the click here for the full stack. You can also find it in the files for the README and the BambuLabs exporter repo. Alright, so let's go ahead and set up the exporter so that you can scrape it with your Prometheus instance. We're going to first open up your VM or target machine that you're going to install this on, and we're going to make sure in the prerequisites in GitLab that we have Docker installed and Docker Compose installed. You can do a docker-v to validate Docker's installed. If it's not, go ahead and install it. Next, we're going to do a docker compose-v, and it looks like I do not have that installed, so I'm going to go ahead and install that. This could be different depending on your version of Linux or version of whatever OS you're running. Docker compose-v. Looks like I have it installed. Alright, so now what we're going to do is actually clone the repo, and we'll need this repo here so that we can edit the environment file. So let's go ahead and do a git clone. I'll put the URL in for the .git. Alright, we've cloned that repo. We'll go ahead and open it up. Now what you're going to want to do is open up the environment file, and we're going to edit it based on the data that we need to collect. So we're going to go ahead and nano into it in this case, since I'm running Ubuntu. And the first thing we need to do is add our printer IP. My printer IP is 192.168.1.32. Default username is BBLP. Now, in order to get the password, you'll need to pull that from your printer itself. It is in the interface menu settings. You can find that detail in the actual GitHub page. We're going to go ahead and enter the password here that I have. And the next thing we need to do is open up the MQTT topic. The MQTT topic itself has to be retrieved by querying it. So if I open up an MQTT Explorer, we will see a good example of this here. So that'll take just a minute for it to load up. Alright, so in my case, MQTT Explorer is just a free piece of software found online. The important things here is you need to make sure you have encryption TLS enabled, protocols MQTT, IP of your printer, port is 8883, username is BBLP, and you'll grab your password from the printer. Once you connect, you will see it start to populate messages to the queues. But if you click in and click on device, and then what I believe to be the serial number of your printer, you can click down to report, and this is your topic path. You basically just want to key this in. So we're going to go ahead and do so. We'll go ahead and save it. Alright, now all we have to do is make sure that we're in our main directory, which we are, and we're going to do a docker compose /d. And in my case, I need to run this as sudo. It's going to go ahead and pull the container from Docker Hub. And as soon as this is completed, it should power it up, and I should be able to view it from the network that I'm operating this VM on. Things of important notes: you can actually port forward your printer through your private network and access it on the internet. So you could run this exporter in AWS, Azure, etc., or anywhere off premise that can reach your public IP essentially. We'll give this another moment. All right, it is completed. I'm going to grab the IP of my host here. So if I go ahead and put this in and enter the port 9101, we can see that it's not finding anything. If I go to metrics, we find it. So essentially what we're looking for here is the port 9101, and then you give it the path metrics. This will essentially query the MQTT streams, and it will wait until it retrieves a proper message, and then once it gets that message, it will actually populate the Prometheus metrics for you to scrape. So I can go to my Prometheus instance and scrape these metrics and essentially build my own dashboards and such based on that data that's available. An example of that data could be something like this here, to where I can actually build a dashboard based on the AMS chambers, the Wi-Fi signal, nozzle temperatures, and I can see that over time. So for example, if I wanted to see the metrics of my printer over time, we can see all sorts of great data. Now, an example case here, I keep having an issue with one of my prints where I have a cardboard spool, so I have all sorts of not so flat line data with like fan speeds, print stages, and such. But it's a good example to show that as my printer is encountering issues, I can see what the error codes, print stages, substages, and so on. And it's overall really, really cool data to work with. So have fun.